Light language is a technology. It's a frequency that comes through your vocal cords that allows transformation of your energy field. So it allows, it's a fine tuning, it's a calibration, it's an elimination, and then there's an addition process going on, so an insertion perhaps. But it's really a technology that that humanity has had access to since we've been on the planet, but it's been squashed and it's been hidden. And now we are like we're so excited now to have this available to us. So it's kind of like when we didn't have a plane, and now we have a plane. We can travel transcontinental, and we can do things. We can do things through the center of us, through our channel of light, and connect us to our galactic. I won't say our galactic heritage, but just our galactic being.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Wetzel, and I am thrilled to have my good friend Kristine Kieland back. Kristine has been on the show before. We had a discussion about mediumship and that she is a medium, but we're not going to talk about the mediumship this time. We're going to talk about something different, and it's light language. And I'm thrilled to have you here, Kristine, because light language is really becoming more known.
Yeah.
And I keep running into people. I mean, there was a time, 4 years ago, people barely even have heard of light language. It was very uncommon, but it just seems like it's exploding, and more people are.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's exciting.
It's very
really
exciting.
exciting. Yeah, because I feel like people, with all of the shifts and changes that are going on, we're opening up. And again, I think it's a sign of us becoming more conscious and opening up to our gifts. So I can't wait to hear all of your information about it. So thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me back. It's always so exciting to collaborate with you and others, and to be present in this really extraordinary times.
Yeah,
so if there's ever
extraordinary is a good definition. That's a good way to say it. Because those you and I who, kind of living in this world, we can see the shift and the change. And we understand it's kind of hard for people that are secluded, or, they're kind of alone. They don't have people to talk to, and they don't have conversations that can confirm that they're shifting and changing. But for you and I, we get to have conversations with the public.
Yeah. And we get kind of an overview, right? We get to see the umbrella of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have the ability and that gift of being able to say, you guys may not know that there's something going on, but yes, there is. Yes, there is. And light language is one of those things that is a really good indicator to me that something is shifting within us to bring this gift forward.
Yeah. And that so many people can access it. And even when I say access it, that's not exactly accurate, because people do it without awareness. Like I have a brother, and when he was young, he used to drive us crazy when we were growing up, because he always made weird noises, weird sounds and weird noises. And I look back now and I can see the vibration coming out of him, what he was doing. He was trying to calibrate his energy to what the situation was. But to us, it was just like he's making weird yawns. He was just not odd, because it fit his personality, but was like his way of doing it. Look back now, it's like people have been doing this for centuries. It's a notch different, because what we can access, the vibrational field and the frequency we can access, is so expanded. And knowing ourselves as source. I mean, we could talk about this for hours, so we'll keep it streamlined. But when I started light language, I didn't even have a word for it. I just trusted that what was coming through was helpful.
Yeah. So now that we've gushed about this gift, so tell us a little bit about what light language is for the people that don't know.
So to me, light language is a technology. It is, it's a frequency that comes through your vocal cords that allows transformation of your energy field. So it allows, it's a fine tuning, it's a calibration, it's an elimination, and then there's an addition process going on, so an insertion perhaps. But it's really a technology that that humanity has had access to since we've been on the planet, but it's been squashed and it's been hidden. And now we are we're so excited now to have this available to us. So it's kind of like when we didn't have a plane, and now we have a plane. We can travel transcontinental, and we can do things. We can do things through the center of us, through our channel of light, and connect us to our galactic. I won't say our galactic territories, but just our galactic being. We're multidimensional. So, and the only reason I'm closing my eyes is because it just helps me focus a little bit, because it comes in from all directions. And so every being that's with us today is so excited to have a voice that I kind of have to line them up to like one at a time. Does that make sense?
Well, it does to me, because I have to close my eyes too.
Yeah.
And that is something, I mean, for people that really don't understand, people that channel information, I have to close my eyes when I'm receiving information, because when I'm looking at something, my mind starts analyzing what I'm looking at. And so it kicks in, and it serves as a blockage. So when I disengage my mind, and I either, if I close my eyes or if I look away and just like stare into the nothingness, then I can receive the messages easier. So it is something about what channels do.
It does shut off the mind. I can do it with my eyes open, but then people wonder what I'm looking at. So I just close my eyes to make it easy on everybody. But
well, I hear you, sister. Staring up into space.
But light language helps us with the emotional and physical bodies and all of our bodies. It helps with it's a very it's a wonderful tool, but it's actually a technology. It has codes to it, and it has I can see the codes. I can see the best way is just codes, but they look like different shapes to me in different signs. And there's lots of different ways to do light language, through your voice and through your hands and through written light language. And people may do one or all of them. And your listeners, they're tapping into it. Like, they're just tapping into it, or they wouldn't be listening to this broadcast, whether it's today when you release it or 10 years from now, because there's really no such thing as locked in space, locked in time. Yeah.
So explain that.
Yeah. So
locked in space or locked in time.
Yeah, because we live in a denser field, we have to slow things down in order to understand our experiences. We have time. We have days and minutes and hours and weeks. But in the quantum field, it's just an open field. Everything exists all at once, which is kind of hard to wrap your head around. Perhaps. I don't want to say anybody can't understand it. But it's kind of like the TV waves, right? It may be recorded on Tuesday, February 18th or 19th, whatever today, it's not even Tuesday today, so whatever day they record something, but it goes into existence forever. So it's not really reruns, but is that making sense? We see ourselves as limited beings with limited experience. And if it's in this moment, that's the only time you can experience it. And when you think about when you're happy, you experience it now, and you experience it way out in the future. If you're sad, you can experience it now. So we're getting out of the container of limitations. And that's one of the things light language helps us do. It helps us understand our multidimensionality, our multi-frequency, and we hold them all at the same time. And it's hard to, it can be a challenge to acclimate to the different frequencies that we have, and we hold them all day long. So what light language helps you do is helps you hold the vibrational field that becomes a frequency, which is a bigger bandwidth of yourself.
That's a good explanation.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and because what I was going to ask, it's, first of all, what is light language? So we kind of felt through that, but what is the purpose of it?
Yeah.
And you kind of just described that. So do you want to add on to what the purpose of light language is?
And why it's so not popular, what is popular now, but the reason you're seeing it so many different places, because the reason for light language is bottom line is to know yourself as source. But it helps us get from the limitations of what we consider ourselves as, big, small, and different, and it shifts the vibrational field. It literally changes your aura. That'd probably be the best way to say it. It changes your aura, gets rid of maybe the muddiness of an aura, or like it's almost like when you see paint that's been, the colors have been mixed together too much, like little kids using watercolor, it just becomes brown. So it helps clear the aura, but also activates parts of your soul's magic and miracle, and the things that you came to experience in this physical body. It's like it pushes the buttons, would be the way to push it. It also enhances the ability of your organs in your body to function at a better rate, to kind of go into the original template of the human template. And there's a human template for humanity, and then there's a human template for you, and one for me. So it helps us, it really just helps clear the field, and it enhances everybody's gifts, skills, and abilities, whatever that may be.
Nice. So again, everybody needs to know this. So when we're talking about light language, people may not necessarily understand what you're referring to.
Yeah.
So, because like people have different sounds that come out of their mouth, but people also have movements with their hands. So can you kind of talk about, like, what kind of sounds, what would come out of your voice? Because there's also toning. Like you could be singing a song.
Toning's also.
Yeah. So can you kind of talk about the different ways and forms? Because we may not all do it the same, or we may have different experiences.
Right. And we'll do it through our own, our own filter, our own essence. And so I can just explain a little bit how I did it. And I love that you mentioned the voice, because that is our greatest healing tool, is our voice. So you hold the baby, you automatically hum, or or you're with somebody, it feels good, you kind of get those yummy sounds. So when you're feeling a little off, just start humming, start singing. Just sometimes I have people just open up their mouths and get whatever sound can come out. If they're going through a tough time, it might be very guttural or deep. Some of the frequencies I can't get my voice to replicate. It's so high. So they'll actually work, and they and me, because we're one and the same kind of. It may take a long time to calibrate my vocal cords, and I will get back to your question. I know I kind of went to the side.
No, you're doing good.
Yeah. They told me it took about 6 years to get me clear enough to get my vocal cords to hold certain frequencies. But what I started with was whales and dolphins. So I could channel the whales and dolphins, a certain sound, and that helps everybody. If you want to listen to whale sounds or dolphin songs with or without music on YouTube or wherever you find it, that opens up your central channel so that you can access different parts of yourself, different parts of humanity. And that's what we're here to do, is kind of free humanity. So that's how it started with me. And then I think light language started first before the toning. And so toning will be, and they brought in a lot today. So toning would be, and there'll be different qualities coming in. And then, and many times when I'm working, I don't necessarily, I'm receiving it, but I don't necessarily receive it the same way as the person I'm working with. They will come back and tell me this, and this. I'm the delivery system, even though I receive whatever's being offered. And then light language, remember the first time I recall doing light language, I was doing, like table work. I would do healing work with people in the body. And like 12 different beings came forward, and they all wanted to talk at once. And I remember just giggling, because I'm like, you guys, I can't get it all out at once. But it would be very similar to and with the delivery system today is welcome to. And so it switches between my English language sometimes into the light language, so I can translate it for you. And sometimes it may be just the light language, like here coming in now is an avian galactic, when there's blue avians, there's rainbow avians, there's silver. And so that is more of a that is opening up the heart space. There's actually people on the call right now that are having some constriction on the left ventricles and the left side of their heart. So this is helping with that. And so when you're doing this, I remember asking, and you feel like you're making it up. As many things we do when we're intuitive and we're getting information, it's like, this is so real in the moment, but is there fantasy involved? And we know that's not true. And I asked him, because sometimes the sound seems so repetitive And I would ask why, and they say, well, in our English language, we have a lot of E's and O's and I's. Like the vowels repeat themselves, the sounds repeat themselves. We're just so used to hearing it. They, them, their, why, right? So it sounds different, but it's really the frequency that's being transmitted is the most important part, because it ignites something within the receiver that you've called upon and have asked for.
It's a beautiful explanation.
Yeah. And then we also did, before I sat down today, this is for your listeners, Lisa. It comes from the Syrian Collective, and it's a collective. And again, when we do light language, there's many, many different dialogues or dialects and many different potentials. And when I write light language, it's not like right to left like we write English. It may start here and go there. It has a sequence it's kind of all over. And sometimes I get the translation, sometimes I don't. I don't typically get the when I do written light language. I don't normally get the translation immediately. It may come later, or it may not even be for me. I'm offering it to someone else. And then what do you want to do? So the hand language, and when I work with people, and you probably recognize this in other cities, my body may move a lot because I'm calibrating. So when years ago when I did this, like 10, 12 years ago, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew this was something that was helpful. So I've learned not to question things, and then I'll hear somebody else give me what it is I'm doing, perhaps. Oh, you've been doing light language. So it gives me terminology, but I do my best not to get caught up into the ego mind, like not needing to know. That's just how I work. Yeah. So,
yeah. Sometimes we just have to surrender and get out of our heads and just let it be. It just is what it is. You don't always have to understand what you're doing or the meaning of it and what's happening.
And I remember when it first happened, you couldn't stop it. Yeah. So your mind wasn't allowed to get involved. It was just like you just started blurting stuff out. And I remember, and I giggle a lot because it's a very high frequency, but I was told in order for me to do more, I had to tell my family about it. So it was like, how do I do this? And then I just did. And it was very well received. It wasn't for them. It was more for me to get over perhaps shyness or, some of that part of ourselves that wants to be accepted for who we are. And if you can say all your talent, skills, and abilities, whatever they may be, it takes away that barrier. So we have a lot of barriers in front of us. And that's one thing light language does, is it shoots holes in the barrier.
Yes, I agree. And, the thing about it, what's so interesting too, though, is that, like you said, I mean, I have a number of friends that do light language now as adults, but a number of them can, like you said, going back to their childhood, these things, your hands would just start moving and making different directions and moving different ways. And these sounds would start just coming out. Like you said, you could just make the sounds. And then the more conformed that we become, the more rules that we get put on us, the more that you need to stop talking like that.
Yeah.
That's nothing. Yeah. You're just talking gibberish.
Yeah. Don't talk baby gibberish, right?
Yeah. You have those things go that we start blocking it. And then now at this time and this evolution that we're going through, now people are going back to their core. Mm-hmm. They're finding that language again, as we're breaking down these barriers and getting back more into who we are, which I think is fabulous again.
and this is a healing lifetime where everything's coming forward for us to start using things. It's wonderful to watch all ages from 2 to 3 to 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you be you, girl.
That's absolutely right.
you let those words fly. Yeah. Whatever's going on. Yeah. If you don't want to do it in front of everybody, go get in your car and just let it come out.
In the car, and the shower is a great place.
Yeah.
And you can ask for it. But a lot of times it just comes through without, you may ask now and it shows up later. Yeah. And it is calibrating your system. So the more loving and kind you are to yourself, the easier it comes through.
Think, and you have given a lot of explanation, and you've kind of talked into this talked about this a little bit, but let's be more specific with
Yeah.
how does light language work with our spiritual practices?
Good question. Again, it's an activator. So it looks to me, and it looks different in every body, but like very simply, it looks like buttons down the middle of the form. And then it pushes the buttons so that something that you've been working on, or something that you're bringing through all these different life experiences that you now are, that are helpful in this life experience for yourself and for humanity as we ascend into more expanded consciousness. It's like literally, it's the push button. It's a start button. And so there may be a domino effect, right? It also it's like a car wash. It just eliminates that which no longer serves you. So we used to have to go through, oh my gosh, like one layer at a time, like peeling back the onion, and you had to look at this story and that story, and why did this happen, and why do I feel like I'm being choked, and why do I sing the way I do, and why do I walk the way I do, like all the different little minute details of being a person. This can take a whole concept very quickly and transform it back to origins and transmute it so that you're really a clear vessel.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Another way.
Right?
another way to clear
Yeah.
our baggage.
Yeah.
So you did mention, because I want to kind of circle back to where light language originates from us. So, in all of the different dimensions and all of these different levels of consciousness and all of this stuff, is it specifically galactic related, or source related, or a combination?
It's a combination. So, and it's a communication tool. So like one of the first things I did was I called them the knock knock people, because I didn't have another name for them, but it was very earthy, and it was the trees talking. It was like the beings in between the trees and the beings that help us be grounded. And that was more like, again, you don't really know what you're doing necessarily at that time. But the galactic and the cosmic, so each civilization in whatever galaxy universe they exist in has a way to communicate eventually through sound. It starts with just light, and light also has sound and color, but it's different than the vocalization. So if I was able to there's technology that can help you hear sound. So your question is, where did it originate from? It originates from the separation of source, would probably be the most direct answer, the most accurate, is once source, the creator of all, decided to have a different experience and to fractalize itself, it had to slow things down. So slowing down the light and the color and this became sound, I guess. And honestly, I'm not really sure if sound came first or light came first, because it just is. So get a physicist on maybe that to explain that better. But it is a way to communicate within a race. And so we use English and Spanish and French, which is very, very slow. And it's a way to separate ourselves. And yours, it is actually a separation. Language is a separation. Light language is not, even though it may come from different galactic places. And years ago, I was told that when I spoke to people, didn't matter what their natural native language was, it would be translated to them what I was speaking. I didn't know what that meant. Now I know what it means. It's the light language. So it doesn't matter where you're listening to this from and what your native language is, you hear the communication because it goes directly into the essence of you. It doesn't go through the ears or the knowledge. It goes directly to your own wisdom of being a being. Does that make sense?
Well, it does to me.
Did it answer it?
Yeah, actually it does. Yeah, that's a beautiful explanation. So I'm curious, and I'm kind of getting off track a little bit, but because what you said about that you were told that we were going to have the ability to communicate with one another, and I can't remember how you said it, but
Yeah.
language.
Yeah, so it's
They
different than telepathy. So they told me if I was standing on a
that's what I was going
stage,
to ask you.
yeah, it's different than
Yeah.
telepathy, which we also will have that too. And we're gonna, that's coming, and actually autistic people have that ability. And there's something this little sidetrack. I just became aware of something called the telepathy tapes. Have you heard of those?
Oh, girl.
Yeah. So I haven't had a
I've
chance
been
to listen to
preaching
them yet.
about it.
Right, maybe
Yeah.
listening to them.
Yeah. Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
had a chance to listen to them
Yeah.
yet. But yeah, the light language, it, it's a little bit like love. Like you don't have to have a language to express wisdom and love and encouragement and gratitude and all the beautiful things we want to express in life. And I'm hearing the question asked, well, can light language be destructive? It comes through intent, I guess. So we consider light language a higher elevated consciousness.
Yeah.
Each dimension will have different levels of consciousness in it. So I'm not interested in accessing something that's destructive to humanity. And I'm just listening, looking. At this moment, people that are using light language, it's for to improve humanity. There are beings in the past that have used light language almost like as a destructive mechanism. Just like we have people now. You have technology that can be constructive and technology that can, they're talking about like AI now. What's the consciousness behind it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of forget where we started. So
well, yeah, we were talking about, we kind of got distracted on
yes.
the telepathy,
Yeah.
the telepathic communication,
Mm.
and being able to communicate one another more on a vibrational frequency. And so I guess that's what my question was, is that if we become more in tune with the vibrational frequency that is being given to us, spoken to us as we receive it, then if I am getting these messages through me and I'm giving them to you, are you going to be able to interpret the message that's being given to you the way that it's needed, like if we were having a conversation back and forth?
The difference is you don't need to interpret it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't go through the mind. It doesn't go through the mind and the wisdom and like the looping and this word means that and this picture means that. It goes straight to the essence. Like I want to say the heart, but it's more than the heart. It goes to the essence, the soul, the expression of yourself. There's such a softness and gentleness to it, even when it's very localized or focused. Even when it's very focused, it bypasses the mind. So you receive it, and sometimes people fall asleep. That may be best for them. It may be delivered, like I may do a 20-minute light language expression. And if I'm doing 300 people or 30 people or one person, it will be delivered in the way that's best for them. So you could say it looks like different beams of light would be one way. You may receive all the different beams at once. Or you may get one beam now and one beam in 30 days and one beam in 3 years. So you receive it according to your vessel, according to what's best for you. It's delivered in the moment, but again, it's not in our limited time. And we are not, these bodies are just a nice way to express ourselves. Yeah. And they can hold so much. So it doesn't have to be, the answer to the question, I guess, is it doesn't go through the mind, and you will get what's needed in the moment. They're showing me, if someone's sick and you give them this beautiful bowl of broth that has all the nutrients it needs, it comes from all different plants and maybe bone broth and carrots and things. You don't need to know what's in it because it's kind of diluted down. It's not diluted down. It is. It's not a whole carrot, right? It becomes maybe carrot broth or carrot juice to put in the soup. That then gives you the nutrients that enlightens your body into health. So that's similar to light language. You don't need to know you don't need to actually know all the details.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I completely understand. And there's so many different forms of energy healing.
Hmm.
And to me, this is just a different form of energy
Yes.
healing, rebalancing, however you want to do it. But a lot of times people have trouble with energy work because we are instant gratification
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying, I think, is important for people to really listen to, because if you have a light language session with somebody and you're being given a transmission, coding, whatever it
Yeah.
is, to clear stuff out, you may not see the result of that in the next 2 hours.
Right.
It might take some time because your body's recalibrating and readjusting to this new form of energy. And it can only handle so much at a time, that if we throw this at you
Hmm.
and then you absorb it all at one time, you're going to go into chaos.
Right.
And you're not going to know how to handle it. You're not going to know how to integrate it. And so it's I always see energy work as it's available when it's needed and when it's required.
Yeah.
And just because we can't immediately, oh, my elbow's not hurting now,
Hmm.
great, it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may not happen that quickly, but 3 weeks later you may
Yeah.
recognize that, oh, my elbow's not hurting
Hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm also not having the memory that may have been tied to that elbow.
Hmm.
Maybe the
Yeah.
energy work had to work through a memory or an emotion or a trauma and
Yeah.
break that down and let that go. And then it's directly related to the pain in your elbow. Then you'll begin to recognize, oh, I had to go through the process of letting go of these emotions. Oh, isn't that
Hmm.
interesting? My elbow doesn't hurt
Yeah.
anymore. So
Yeah.
there may be more of a process to this energy stuff than what the average person actually recognizes. And so I guess why I'm saying that, because I think that people need to understand that it's not
Hmm.
always instant gratification. Sometimes it just
Right.
takes a bit of
And
time.
it will keep it will keep deepening.
Yeah.
So if you listen to it now and listen to it later, it'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
So it just goes deeper and deeper. And it exposes what it is you want to know about yourself, what you're ready to release. Or like you said, is there a belief system over here that's causing my elbow? Are there memories? Because the brain just wants to keep finding the same memory, right? So light language
Mhm.
just bypasses that. Really, that's what healing modalities do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, they do.
yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to throw this in too, because you just brought it up, is that that it meets you where you're at, and when you start shifting and changing, and you go back and listen to it, you're going to hear it different. Same way with the Akashic Records
Mm-hmm.
messages, and
Yeah.
it's profound how it works.
Mm-hmm.
When you listen to something or listen to a message the first time, you're going to interpret it
Yeah.
where you are at that particular time. But as you grow and shift, the message
Mm-hmm.
seems to change with you. And you can listen to a message 15 times, and then all of a sudden on the sixth time, you hear something you never heard
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Oh, because now I'm ready to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yep.
I'm ready to
Yeah.
understand it. And it's
Right.
always been there, but it's
Yeah.
how we have to undo our way of being,
Yeah.
this, all of that, to be able to
Yeah.
receive it. And so it's fun how it grows with you.
Is
And
it?
which,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was gonna say it would make sense to have a session with you for 1 minute, right?
yeah,
So you get it all delivered at once, and then you start unpacking it
yeah.
as it's necessary for you. And I know when I check with myself and my guidance, I'll ask, why does my light, it always sounds like it's the same. Sometimes my personal light language I'm working throughout the day or whatever. And they just said, because you're taking the message, but at a different level of consciousness. So
Mhm.
it's repeating. It's like learning Spanish 101, where you're just learning how to say hello, and then Spanish where you can talk fluently. So it's the same. It's different, but it feels like it's repetitive because it's meeting me at a different level of consciousness.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's it. That example that you just gave. So if do I have to be in the flow to be able to do light language, be open to receive it, and then I just transmit it? Or can I just start saying the words? And
You can
then it,
actually just start saying the words. So you can
okay.
listen to someone saying it. You can see it written, like you can see it written. You may see TUKKAOKTE, and I don't know what I just said. So so you can see it, and you can then just repeat it. Listen to somebody. It gets you in the flow. It gets you going. So instead of, you know, when I was doing, I didn't really have a guide. So I just remember there'd be days where I was like, you're like, what's going on? My jaw needs to loosen up. Your body needs to calibrate. There's easier ways to do it, right? We have a lot more information coming out now. I think just getting in the shower or sitting in your kitchen or in the car and just kind of whatever sound wants to come out, whatever, and it helps remove that energy that's stagnant,
Mm-hmm.
that keeps looping in your body, right? It's not necessarily stuck, but it's looping. It needs a way to be expressed, and then the next best thing comes in too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So can anybody do light language?
absolutely, and everybody
S-
will at some point
I,
in time. Yeah,
I think so too. I think
yeah,
that this is what we're moving to.
yeah,
It's just opening up our,
yeah,
breaking down all these barriers, getting back to
yeah.
that truest self of
My
who we
3-year-old
are.
grandson does it quite often,
Yeah.
and so I
And
don't,
I bet
and
he will
I,
continue to
and
do
he will,
it.
and so we'll
He
have.
won't get blocked
He doesn't get
and
blocked
shut
at this
down.
house, yeah. So, yeah,
So so how do people learn? I mean, can people take classes? How do people learn how to do it?
absolutely. You can take classes. I'm glad you asked that because I'm starting a light language play group, and
Oh,
I don't know if it's going to be once a month or what as I put in my schedule, but start listening to it. Start, see what comes out of, see what vocalizations you want to create, and then don't judge it. Your language may not sound like mine. Some are very specific. Some are a lot of times it's very lyrical. Yeah, it's like everything else. You want to learn it, put yourself in a place where it's being spoken, written, or signed. And I think YouTube's a great place. You can do see people in person. Podcasts like yours, like you have such, Lisa, I've got to commend you because you have such a wonderful platform for people to know themselves and to know humanity and to really like you are so well placed and you are so on, our human words, you're so on track.
thank you.
And you bring such a divine, um, I can feel you blushing like, no, but this is truly why you do the work because people need to
Mhm.
hear and see who they are and to collaborate with other beings on this planet and know that we have crossed the finish line. We're creating a new world. We're going to a place of freedom and self love. I was going to say self reflection. It starts with self reflection. And we're just dropping all the barriers and all the nonsense that's been put in place of us. And we need you, Lisa. We need people like you. We need you to keep showing up as you do every month, every week, every day. There's so much gratitude coming for you and from the earth and the cosmos and the galactics and every place that I can see, there's just tremendous cheering around you because you've tried many, many times to get, I'm sorry, we got tried, but you've tried so many times to be the voice of, not just the voice of reason, but to be the voice, the internal voice people need to hear from within themselves. And sometimes it comes out from the mirror. I heard an expression the other day, the mirror will always smile back at you.
That's a good one.
Isn't that a good one? Gives me chills. So you will
It
see
is.
in the world what it is you want to see, what your vibration is. You will see it. And you give people the opportunity to see clearly their humanity and their origins. And you're bringing all kinds of people to help with that. So thank you.
You're making me cry.
We got a hit.
I
Yeah,
wasn't prepared for this.
I wasn't expecting that, but it was really clear.
Um,
All of you and the beings you work with wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm getting off track, but we're going to come back to light language because I think this came up for a reason. Number one, because the last 2 days I have been questioning, what am I doing and do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Do I want to just be a normal person that just goes to work 9 to 5 and just does their thing? And I think for people like you and me that do this work, first of all, I think for you and me, this isn't a choice.
Right.
And people don't understand that. I know that way back when, and when I first started reading the Akashic records in 2003, the guides came to me and asked if I would accept doing this. And they said specifically, we are asking you to be our mouthpiece. We are asking you to serve in this role. Now, that was 21 years ago. And there's a lot of changes that have happened in the last 21 years, but it has not been an easy road. And I know you understand that too. We go through our own personal growth. Mm-hmm. You and I have had to go through the tears and the shedding and the letting go of all of the baggage, all of the trauma that we've experienced. We've had to do our work, and we've had to shed these layers and all of the stuff that you and I keep talking about. You've got to let go of your baggage. Mm-hmm. And relationships ending, all of the different things that we go through to try to stay on our path when we could easily just say, I'm done. Mm-hmm. I'm done. And I'm just going to put my head down and I'm just going to live this life like what normal society expects. Yeah. And I'm not going to share this voice. But you and I are both in this position to where are we going to put ourselves in the position to be criticized? Mm-hmm. Are we going to put the position to be misunderstood? Are we going to put ourselves in this position to where, that any kind of channeling or mediumship, anything that we do is what woo-woo or crazy, or it's not a thing, or, this. And so we've walked around in silence, not sharing our gifts like we should, and keeping the mask on and hiding because we don't want to reveal our true selves. And, there's so much stuff that goes through this that the average person that just watches us has no idea of what we go through to get to where you and I are sitting here today having this conversation. But it all comes down to the love. And that is why you and I do what we do. We do it for the love.
Yeah, and these are.
I'm not going to sit here and cry. But that's the thing that
high vibration too. People don't understand. So there's clearing that. There's crying that clears, but there's crying that's just like it's overwhelming. It's not even joy. It's just overwhelming truth. Yeah, it's just the truth, and that love is like everything's created from love, even the things that you think aren't.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When you look at the world and people have such a hard time seeing people get injured, people getting hurt, the wars and violence and all of these things that we see. And when you're just looking at it from the surface, you see it a certain way. But where you and I are, where we can see it from a different dimension. And I always see us looking at as the observers and looking down and seeing how everything is playing out. Right. And we can see it in a different way that is of that love nature, and understanding that, every soul has a journey. Every soul, has an assignment, and it all comes down to, and especially where we are today, is it's coming back to breaking down that mind's construct and coming back to this place of oneness and wholeness and completeness, which I feel segue back into the light language. Yeah. Which is why, to me, this light language is just another tool for people to get, it's making me cry again, just get back into that core of who we are, the connection with the soul, the connection with the oneness, the whole, all it is, to take us away from this mind's belief system that this isn't a thing. Yeah. And that the things that you and I tap into that are beyond this earthly realm, it is a thing. It is there. It is real. Yeah. It is. And we're breaking down that old stuff so that we can get back into that truth of who we are.
And what another thing light language does, thank you, Lisa, is it eliminates the hierarchy. So many of us believe, we're taught consciously and unconsciously that there's a system of worthiness.
Yep.
So it could be God, it could be the universe, it could be your parents, it could be your teacher, it could be an angel, an archangel, galactic. No, it's not. It's not. It's just a different expression.
Yeah.
There's no hierarchy. So when you receive and give light language, it's not because there's a better or worse, or it's not like an enlightened being. You are the enlightened being. I want people to hear, you are the enlightened being.
Yeah.
You are the Christ consciousness. You are all the things that, whatever terminology you use. What you're doing is you're like kind of breaking through the membrane. We've been in this cloistered by choice. What would it be like to have contrast, right? And have a choice. And we're seeing a lot of choices in front of us right now. So this light language and all the other modalities are coming through. It's just another way to claim the love that you are.
Yeah. And you said that beautifully, because the way my guides, the Akashic Records guides, are always talking about, we're coming back to the balance.
Yeah.
And that I always see it like the caste system, to where we have this belief system that people with money or that are born into certain families, they're up here. The CEO of the business is up here. The management is up here. The common laborers or somebody that doesn't have as much money, they're down here. And we've been so programmed to believe the value is up here, the people that represent this. And we're forgetting about the people. I mean, how often do we think about, driving by or an impoverished area, and we don't even think about the people that live there. We look at the outside or the exterior and see that it may be dilapidated or falling down, and we don't even see that actual human beings live there.
Yeah.
But you drive into a big fancy neighborhood, and then all of a sudden everything pits back up.
Yeah.
And it changes our feeling. And when we can get back to this breaking down this belief system, which is the same thing that's being said over and over and over again, breaking down the belief systems,
Yes.
breaking down the construct, breaking down this idea that just because you own your own company or you're CEO of, and I'm hearing Chase or whatever, like a big banking system, that you're superior.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are all equal. We are all the same.
Yeah.
We are all the same construct. We're all the same energy. We're all the same. But we forget because of this belief system.
Yeah.
So exactly what you're saying, when we can tap into really, truly understanding our core, this oneness that our soul is, it does eliminate this separateness. It makes us all one, because then we start seeing each other, humans, as humans. And not the labels that we put on them or the descriptions that we see that person as.
And isn't it interesting that we created a planet, we created humanity that looks differently, that sounds differently, that thinks differently? It gave us, because there's some planets, there's some universal systems where everything's the same. It's only one level of consciousness. It's only one viewpoint. There's not really free will. It's just one way to do it. It's like here, the geniuses that we are, even though it looks like, what the heck are we, why would I create this? I so want to know myself and you. I'm going to put division between us, whether it's gender or race or economic status or education or beliefs, or whatever. So we're now going back into find the beauty and the joy of each being, an expression of self, and not look at what, not the difference. So I'm just repeating what you said, but I totally agree with you. But I did want to mention that this is a master class. This is mastery. Being here is mastery.
I agree.
And everything we've gone through brings us closer to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look at this time that we're at. And again, why I feel like light language is so important, and why it's just, what I'm hearing is the word manifesting, why it's just, more and more people are coming into this is because we kind of have gone through this experiment, creating that separateness. and that division and you against me and me against you.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like the universe says, okay, we're done now.
Yep.
We see the results, and it's time
Went a little sideways. We went a little sideways. So
yeah. So we
yeah.
might need to shift things up a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're going to work on doing this. But
Yeah.
for you and me and for everybody that is on earth at this particular time, our souls were chosen or chose to be here
Yeah.
to elevate the consciousness, regardless of what you see yourself as or the life that you are living.
Yeah. That's why there's
We
so
are
many of
all
us here.
Yes, we are all meant to be here, and we're meant to break this construct down.
Yeah.
And that's really a gift that I think that so many people that are struggling in their own worlds, they see their life as, I don't have enough money, or I can't find a great relationship, or whatever it is, whatever the struggles are that people put seeing themselves as in a negative position, but not understanding that they're here to break that old karma, those karmic patterns that they brought in. This lifetime is to break those karmic patterns so that we can move into this new energy field without having the karma attached to us.
Yeah. And so light language looks like a laser. It's like it kind of shatters the illusions. So it's like a beam, and sometimes it's just one beam, but mostly I see it as like multiple hundreds and thousands of beams going into a belief system, right? Which is part of your DNA and part of like your mindset, your beliefs. And it's like a laser. It just shatters it. So it doesn't shatter. It kind of looks like robotic surgery, that laser surgery, but does it in the energy field. It does it like in your core. Yeah, they're very simple, and my explanations are very limited. But I don't have English to describe it better, and I'm sure you've had experience too, Lisa, where you can't find the words. That's why we go under frequency. We go into light, sound, and color. Is that right? Yeah, because the words aren't adequate enough. And I often get told the words I'm trying to use is not the correct vibration or frequency. But then it's like, well, it's the best you got, so that's what you deliver it with.
Yeah. But it's also interesting though, because going back to the light language, let me get back on track here.
We're all good.
Yeah. But what you're saying is it's almost like we don't have a word that is at a high enough frequency.
Yeah.
There's not a word in our language, in any language that we speak through our mouths, that goes through our brain and comes out of our mouth, that is at a high enough frequency to translate what's being given to us. And the way that's the reason why I feel that the sounds, the clicks, the noises, the things that we do are at such a high vibrational frequency that we have not adjusted to be able to interpret it in a human word.
Right.
That's the way I see it.
It bypasses it. So
exactly.
And so once in a while I'll stop so I can get an English translation. And it's only like the time it's about 30% accurate, but it gives people an understanding, and it does slow it down, and people like to know. But you're right, the English language and our mind just can't interpret it correctly, but we're quickly changing that.
Yeah. But I'm going to add, it's not only the English language, it's any language.
Any language, any human language, right? And even and then the animals have their own way, and this little sidetrack, but you're seeing how the animals are evolving too. So the whole planet is evolving. Yeah.
Well, and you think about it, it's so funny too, because you mentioned whales and dolphins earlier. And of course, as soon as you said that, I'm like,
my favorite. Yep.
Well, but also the whales and the dolphins, in spirituality, they're the record holders. And the reason why they've been associated with the Akashic records is because of the way that they communicate, their sonar ability, those things, that they. Now I'm losing my words. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I was like, wait a minute, wait, no, I got to get back. Get back to the human language. But again, the animals and the nature too. And I want to reiterate what you just said, because nature is being affected, and all of the animals, every single level and dimension is raising in
Yeah.
consciousness through because of what we're going through and what is happening.
Yeah.
And it's always laugh. It's going to be funny. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Just 5 years from now, looking back at
Yeah.
how we communicate with animals and with each other. I can't wait.
Oh, it's just exploding. It's exploding. Yeah.
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 And the
Yeah.
telepathy and all the wonderful things that we've been waiting for are coming forward. And the earth had, Gaia had to raise her vibration first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. So much fun.
yeah.
So I so thank you for the deep dive.
Yeah. So thank you for giving us a place to talk about it, right? Having your platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 So is there anything that you think that we may not have covered that you want to
Yeah.
share with people?
Trust. What we're developing is trust in ourselves. And so you may be seeing where trust is being broken in your personal life or on a global stage. And truth changes as you evolve. So when you're little kids, you may think mommy and daddy are your heroes and they have everything. And they do have that, right? But you may also be 13 and think, well, maybe, my parents don't know it all. So your truth changes as you evolve. But it really goes into trusting yourself and to your first knowing is your most accurate. And I'm just hearing and seeing a lot of people here that are listening now or later. They already are speaking light language, or it comes through very quickly. And again, light language comes through the drawings, and everybody's may look different. Here's just another quick example I want me to show you. So it might look like this, might be like that. And here, follow the children. The children know, and the children will teach. So mostly you learn by looking backwards. If I'd have known 5, 6, 10 years ago that the sounds I was making was actually a technology and a modality that many people use, what was my thought? If I'd have doubted that, right, I would have said, oh my gosh, if I'd done that 5 years, I'd hear about. So like you learn backwards. Was I supposed to do this? Was I supposed to pick up milk at the grocery store? Got home, there's no milk. So yeah, I probably went off a little sideways, but again, there's like so much information coming through. What's the best? It's really just trust yourself. Trust yourself. You know what's best for you. Absolutely know what's best for you. You'll be told 1,000 times what's not. You go into, you just know, and you sometimes learn backwards, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a good last message.
Yes,
because I think, trust is, trust in your guidance, trust in your intuition, trust in your knowing,
yeah,
and getting out of your head, and trusting, not analyzing the pros and the cons and doing it the old way, but really listening to your body and your knowing and your truth, and trusting to follow, even if it might seem scary.
Yeah. You don't always need to know the why.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just jump in. Just jump in. Oh, Kristine, gosh, again, I was so excited to have this conversation. And
thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. So, okay. So you, now again, I am going to refer back to, you and I did have another interview earlier, several months ago. And so if anybody wants to listen to Kristine and her ability to contact those who have passed beyond the veil. She's amazing. She's a beautiful, beautiful human being, as you can already see. So if you want to go back and listen to that interview, I do highly recommend it. But in the meantime, how do people get a hold of you, and what services are you providing now?
Oh, I like to say I provide them all, but that's that's not my ego. It's just however you show up for me is what I'm able to deliver, because I go into the energy field in your consciousness. And you can find me at KristineKieland.com, and maybe sign up for my newsletter. There's retreats and classes, on-demand classes. Like I said, I'm going to be starting a light language play group. That's probably the easiest. So whether it's animal, people, healing your heart, healing the emotions, healing the body, knowing yourself, mentoring. It's kind of like a jack of all trades, only because I listen. So I may get something new working with somebody, or I may have to calibrate to it, but I really do show up. I show up with what's in front of me. And that's the way I work, is I don't have a separation in my skills. And I'm always open to having the next skill come through.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So you're
Yeah.
not limiting yourself. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do things online.
Online,
Yeah.
in person.
Yeah.
You know, I live in Minnesota, so if you're in the area, some people drive a couple hours, some people drive 10 minutes, but a lot's on Zoom and I can reach people anywhere.
All
Central
right.
time zone.
Great.
Yeah. So thanks, honey.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kristine, thank you again.
Yeah.
And thank you, all of you, for joining in on this
Yeah.
conversation. Just again, just a beautiful conversation. So thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much, Kristine.
Yeah.
And I hope to see all of you guys next time. Thanks a
Yeah.
bunch.